Here it is, Denny. Oops. I've never heard this before.
Welcome, everyone, and please mute your audio so we don't have background noise and so on. We're in the process of admitting everyone, which is our security method for people not crashing. We've had that happen a couple of times. So you're in for a powerful evening. So make sure you're grounded and have some water, maybe Kleenex nearby, because this is going to be moving. You're going to hear just what you need to hear. Lynn, do you want to go with the intro and I'll do the...
Yep. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you're here tonight, and we can't wait to hear the stories about our affiliate leaders and caring listeners. So thank you all for being here. Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and allow for open dialogue. Attendance today at the Helping Parents Heal meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are very healing to parents all over the world, and they are all posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not in our time zone can also watch. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. So thank you, Mark. You're up.
All right. Thank you very much, Lynn, and welcome, everyone. Elizabeth Boyson and Irene came up with a great idea to do this, to interview our wonderful caring listeners and affiliate leaders. I think we have 165 or so total, for two main reasons. First of all, so that parents get to know more about them. But secondly, and probably most powerfully, to hear their stories. They've been through it. They've been through the dark night of the soul. They've come through it with the wherewithal to serve others. And so powerful. So we want to give them maximum time. So let's get started. Carol Allen has agreed to be our first interviewee, and she is both a caring listener and affiliate leader. So thank you, Carol, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, everyone, for being here. As Mark said, I'm Carol Allen. I'm the Cave Creek affiliate leader and also a caring listener. My son, my beautiful son, is Tyler. Tyler crossed to the other side at 19 years old in 2015 when he was on a motorcycle and a woman cut in front of him, so they collided. He is, I was going to say he was, but he still is, just an amazing young man, just the sweetest, kindest, just loving soul. And, I'm just so lucky. I'm just so lucky to be his mom.
Beautiful. I love the way you're using present tense. Not that he was, he is, and you have firsthand experience of that, by the way. So how did you discover Helping Parents Heal? When was that, and what services did you use initially, Carol?
Well, ironically, Elizabeth, her daughter, was friends with my son, with Tyler, and she came to the service. I did not know her. I'd never met her, but her and her daughter came to the service actually with a handful of other parents from the group that knew our kids knew each other, which again, it's not a coincidence that everybody is connected. But she walked up to me as I was ready to get into the car that was going from the celebration of life to the cemetery. And I just see this tall woman, beautiful woman walking up to me. And I just remember thinking, you know, what is this? And of course, I was in shock. I'm sorry, that's my dog. I don't know what he hears, but I was in shock and it's like this empty shell. And I remembered this. And she said that her name was Elizabeth and that her son Morgan had passed away as well, and that please reach out to her. And she wrote down her name and number, and she said, please reach out to me when things settle down, because I think you'll need, you know, you'll need help. And I mean, immediately within weeks, when the fog started to, you know, I was in a fog, but when I was coming to more of a reality instead of walking around, I called her, and she just, I always call her my earth angel. I mean, she did not let up on me. She made me laugh because sometimes she said, I felt like I was almost stalking you, but I felt Tyler pushing me, like, and she just kept, you know, the group was much smaller then, but she would reach out every week and say, let's have coffee, let's meet. And she introduced me. At the time, we didn't have all the Zoom meetings that we do now. Of course, that was a silver lining of COVID, but she told me about the Unity meeting. And this is before I had, you know, my own affiliate Cave Creek meeting. Unity was the only meeting we had. She just gave me a list of books to read regarding the afterlife. And so she just provided me, you know, so many tools. I didn't believe in anything prior to Tyler's passing, and she opened me up to a world of meditation. And it's so she found me, but then of course we just really connected.
Powerful. So you already mentioned being in contact with Tyler. What can you share? What have you found facilitates that, sensing him?
The thing that I really worked on was raising my vibration in the beginning, because I was in such a dark place, and I just kept reading everything about, you know, raising our vibration. So I started yoga, I meditated, and he just came on so strong. I think he just wanted to prove me wrong, like, Mom, I am here. And he just, the signs were, there was no, it got to where I just couldn't write it off as a coincidence. I just felt like he was so powerful. And so I started to hear him. I can't hear other kids. I don't claim, I know, you know, they say we all have mediumship abilities. I don't hear other kids, but I mean, I hear him, I sense him, and I know I've been validated by him. I mean, I've asked him a question, and then I'll hear it, and then I'll find out that that's exactly right, or I'll lose something, and I'll say, where is it? You know, Tyler, I can't be late. Help me find, you know, and then I'll hear it and I'll think, no, I wasn't in that room. And then sure enough, so he's pretty amazing.
Nice. And so then how long was it before you felt motivated to become, start your own group and be a caring listener?
Believe it or not, within less than 2 years, about a year and a half, at Unity, you know, we have a 2-hour limit, and then we wanted to stay and chat with each other. And of course they were kicking us out. And so I said to Elizabeth one day, you know, how about I start a group at my house where we can just chat with each other, talk about the kids. And she said, are you sure you're ready? And I said, oh my gosh, yes. So very, very early on, I would say, I mean, within a year and a half.
Excellent. And then with caring listener, what motivated you to do that service?
I just believe that helping others is so healing. I mean, it just gives us purpose. And when I have a parent say, oh my God, you've made me feel so good, you've given me hope, I mean, that just is so fulfilling. And it just, I mean, what's better than feeling like we helped somebody, especially when we know what they're feeling.
Sure. So for those who will be watching, what are 3 things you'd like to share you wish more parents really knew deep within?
Well, I wish that they knew that, yes, we can find joy again, because early in my journey, I truly thought that that was impossible. I thought I will exist and that's it. But and I always say, hey, if I could do it, because I mean, our kids are everything to us, whether we had just one or whether we have 5. I mean, each child is individual, and my kids are everything to me. And and joy, I never believed that I can live a fulfilled, happy life. And that's the first thing I want to tell people. It is possible. And life is just that quick. I mean, it's been 8 years for me, and it feels like yesterday. But I was also fearful of, as time went on, feeling like he would, it would be a distant memory. And I would love to tell parents that that's just never. Now I know if I live to be 100, I will feel just as close, just as connected as I do today. And that our relationship it continues. It's possible. People say, how many children do you have? I never hesitate. I'm like, I have 2 kids. If then they ask me, if they ask the next question, I will eventually say, I'll say, well, one of my children is 30 and he lives here, and then my other child lives in heaven and he's forever 19. So
Wow. So strong. And so finally, I'd like to ask, what are your beliefs or knowing about, even though it may not seem possible to recently bereaved parents, there being a meaning, a timing behind Tyler's passing?
I 100% believe in the soul plan. And I 100% believe that we cannot change the outcome. I believe that when our kids finish what they came here to do, we have exit points. I know Tyler had an earlier exit point where he got really sick, and a virus went to his cerebellum, and the doctors told us that we were lucky because it could have been fatal. And that was when he was 14. And then I had 2 mediums tell me, 2 different mediums say, one said he had an exit point, something with his brain at 14. And another medium said 5 years earlier, he had an exit point, and that was when he was 14. And I believe that there's no guilt regardless of how our children cross to the other side, because I think that was their journey. I believe Tyler, I was so afraid of death, and I always say, well, that's the silver lining. I have no fear. That doesn't mean I'm ready to go now, though. And that's also a beautiful thing. But I just think there's no reason for any guilt with any of us. Because my son left NAU to go to motorcycle school, MMI. And I mean, do you know how many parents say to me to this day, I would never let my kid do that. I would never let my kid ride a motorcycle. And early on, I felt that. I felt like, what? Why didn't I just put my foot down? But the reality is I know that it wouldn't have made a difference. If I said no, it was his time to go home. He would have been out on his BMX bike riding down the mountain and hit his head. So I just would say, please just realize that there's nothing we could have done, that this was part of the plan for our growth. Mark, you told us that early on. The harder the lesson, you said it's like a gym. My husband and I remembered that. And you said it's like a gym session up there. The harder you work out, the harder, the bigger the growth. And it's true. It's true. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the peace and joy you radiate and helping parents know it's possible for them. Awesome. Thanks. Sue, who would like to volunteer next, please?
I'll be brave.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Amy, so you're an affiliate leader. So, the first question, please tell us about your child, how and when they changed, or he changed worlds.
First, I'd like to say I'm privileged to be in such esteemed company with you all. I'm Amy Sanders from the San Diego Helping Parents Heal. Can you hear me? Because I'm a light talker.
Yes.
My son Brandon crossed March 21st, 2020, which was COVID shutdown weekend. So when he went, essentially the world shut down with me. So it was a really unique experience in that way, that, you know, people weren't running off to work and, you know, the usual fast pace of life. Everything sort of came to a standstill. So, you know, in a way that was a blessing for me, that, you know, I didn't have, that I had more support that way, I think. He passed from accidental fentanyl poisoning, which was the beginning of the big surge of that. He was one of the early ones. We didn't realize he was, you know, had any thoughts of using again. It had been 3 years. He finished college, he had a job, he was about to become engaged, and got the call, and that was it. But you know, there was a sort of a precursor to that. I'll throw in real quickly that when my mom passed in 2015, which was just a little over 5 years before, we had something happen where his flip-flop went missing, and it was gone for 2 weeks, and we searched and searched, and he'd come home, throw it on the floor, and I was getting ready to, you know, have company, and I went to look for the other one. It was gone. When we had a small apartment, it was gone. So anyways, long story short, it reappeared 2 weeks later out of nowhere. And when my son passed, I knew immediately that that was like a precursor sign for me, that to know that there's way more than what we know here, and that he's, you know, gonna be okay.
Wow. Well, way to awaken quickly. And how did you learn about helping parents heal?
So I had readings in the past, just kind of for fun, you know, nothing major, no one, you know, that I really needed to talk to on the other side. So we had my son's girlfriend, she was there when it happened and very traumatized. So she went to a medium, and so the medium, initially, you know, immediately the rest of us, you know, we're going to do it, you know. So we all went and did. She's a local San Diego medium. She's not an HPH medium, but she did know about HPH. And she, when I had my reading with her, she brought it up. And so I joined the national group, and about 6 months later, I joined the San Diego group. And then, yeah.
Powerful. And then what motivated you to become a group leader?
So Dawn Richards, probably everybody knows her, was the leader here in San Diego. And as things progressed, after I joined, I just kept seeing that, you know, she was a little bit thin. You know, she had a lot on her plate, and I just started kind of volunteering to help her do things. Then I became a co-affiliate, and then she just decided to, you know, work on some other things in her life, and I just took over.
Good job. And what have you found that you're comfortable sharing with others has helped you sense your son's living presence?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, since he passed, how have you learned to optimally sense his presence?
Well, I haven't had to work very hard, because my son came on strong from day one with huge signs. And, you know, that, and I would share those with people, not necessarily even HPH, but also in HPH. And it just really hasn't stopped. I mean, I had some Invisalign go missing one night, and in the morning, not just the one I was missing, but 2 other ones were in a pile under my dining room table the next morning after I asked for help that night. So it's just been really, initially I had a visitation, just, and so for me, I feel like I'm getting these to share, to help raise the vibration of other people, and to let them know that it's real.
Super. Well, it certainly is. And what are 3 things that you wish more parents knew that you've learned yourself and you think are so important to remember?
Yeah, so, on this journey, I ended up kind of making a list that I share periodically on HPH of ways to just, get through the day to raising your vibrations. And in some of those, I feel like I actually did write them down. I know you said to throw away our notes, but one is that the readings are so helpful. And that's a tool that I think is really helpful and uplifting, especially new parents. Hopefully I'm answering the question properly. They really were integral for me when I first started. And I see sometimes people on HPH who are, 6 months or a year in and haven't done it yet. And I just really encourage them to do that because, don't be afraid. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. The medium will give you your money back. It's just, but for the most part, it's gonna happen, and you're gonna connect, and that's really gonna be great for you. The other thing that's, paying attention to the signs, because I've been so blessed with signs. I'm always on the lookout, all my senses, and I'll feel my son here. Whoever it is. And so, write it down. And if you don't know if it's a sign or not, write it down anyways, and keep a journal. And eventually, they'll really start adding up for you. And, and that'll be another thing that helps cement, your faith in something past this. And then really just the whole idea of acceptance. I did a big deep dive in all things spiritual when this happened. I already believed, that there was something between science and religion and spirituality that made sense for what the afterlife is, because none of us can really know. But yeah, I think that, I came to the conclusion that if we can all just, you don't have to have a giant purpose. You can just every day work at giving yourself love, acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness, and then give that to yourself and give it to other people. And just in that, you can help heal.
Beautiful, so powerful. And Amy, finally, what are your beliefs or knowing about there being a meaning, a rhyme and a rhythm behind when a child passes, even though that sounds like nonsense to some people?
Yeah, I'm actually getting big chills right now. Well, actually, in my first reading with that local medium, and it's come up again that it was an exit point, and that he had others later, that one could have been more tragic, which, your child goes, you're like, what's more tragic? I don't want that. And the other, what could have been later in an extended, kind of situation where he would have suffered. And so he said, that I had those, and this was the easiest way. And I, basically just need to get back up there and get to work, and so, so for me, he said it could have been a car accident, it could have been anything, and that really took a lot off for me in terms of blaming myself or anything that, and I think a big part of the acceptance process is knowing that, again, like Carol said, nothing you can do about it. And it's supposed to be somehow, and even if it doesn't make sense, no matter how your child goes, it's just how it is. But they're there with you, and 100% they're there for the journey.
Beautiful. Wow, so powerful. Thank you for sharing. Whew. So, who would like to be our next volunteer?
I'm happy to go, Mark.
Okay, thank you very much. So share with us about your children, please.
Okay, I'm Lisa Wilcoxen, and I have been a member of this incredible organization since my second son crossed into spirit in April of 2013. My first son, Michael, ascended, which I stole that term from my dear friend Craig Nelson, who's on with me, in in the year 2000. So it was a long time ago when Michael crossed. He was 12 years old. He was a special needs child. He didn't speak or walk, and he was G-tube fed, and he got pneumonia suddenly one weekend, and within 2 days, he was gone. And that's when I thought he was gone. And I turned my whole world into my other living child, Anthony. And for 12 years, Anthony was my world. And then one day, suddenly, I got a call from Scottsdale Emergency Room. Anthony was a freshman at Arizona State University. He had been at a party and had a toxic reaction to a poisonous chemical that turned out to be Chinese fertilizer. So both of my children were then in spirit, and well, we all know what that's like. We all know what that's like. But what was fascinating to me was 3 days before my second son crossed, I saw my mother in my closet, and my mother had crossed 4 months before my first son. And when I saw my mother, she was crying, and I didn't know if I was shocked because I saw her or because she was crying. And later I learned, of course, that she wasn't crying because on the other side there's any deep sadness. She was crying to let me know, to give me a message that she knew 3 days before it happened that my son was going to cross. And that was one of the biggest gifts she could have given me, because what that very small image told me was there was nothing I could have done to change that. And I am just honored and privileged to be a co-affiliate leader of 2 groups here for Helping Parents Heal, both a group that we started in 2000, I think it may have been, I don't even remember when now, 2019, perhaps 2018, parents of children with special needs. And then I was honored and privileged to start another group with Irene Vuvalides, who we all know and love, for parents who have lost their only child. And I use the word lost. Of course, they're not lost. For parents to find their only child or have all their children in spirit. Both are phenomenal groups, and each holds a very special place in my heart. Thanks, Mark.
Well, thank you. So let's back up a notch, though. How did you discover Helping Parents Heal?
Well, I have to tell you, it would be my son who brought me there. We had a dear friend, and I know Carol knows her, Juliet, and Juliet's only child, Noah, crossed back shortly after my son Michael crossed. And so I was Facebook friends with Juliet. And after Anthony crossed, I was seeing Juliet was going to attend a meeting. And this was when Helping Parents Heal was fairly new. They started, of course, in 2010. And Lynn and Jeff Holohan, hello, Lynn, beautiful Lynn is on here. And some of the other board members, Ernie and Christine, I believe they joined about the same time I did. And Helping Parents Heal was only in person at a place called the Logo Center on 56th Street and just down the street from my house. So it was very easy for me to go to that meeting. I showed up in the parking lot, and Mark Ireland was standing there getting ready to leave, gave me his book out of his trunk. And I went in, and there was a group of people, small group of people, but they were happy and smiling and having cheese trays and fruit. And I whispered to my husband, I think we're in the wrong place, because everyone was so cheerful.
Which is, of course, just the way the kids would want it. So what have you learned that you can share with people about how you sense your kids?
Well, gosh, as most people here know, I'm also a medium and one of the medium providers for Helping Parents Heal. And shortly after I saw my mother, I started seeing all kinds of children everywhere. And it was the other children that convinced me that my own children were with me because I could validate the evidence of what I was seeing with everyone else. With my own children, that was a little bit more difficult for me to feel and to understand because I'm still in this physical body and still had to manage that delicate dance between grief and awakening, where we know and understand that it's simply a new way of being with our kids, a new relationship.
Wow.
I don't know if I really answered that question, but for myself, I don't know that there really is any defining answer to that for anyone until you actually get something from your child yourself to be able to say, I know that was my child. I know they still exist.
Well, you mentioned stealing something from Craig. I'm going to steal that last one from you. A delicate balance between grief and awakening. Wow, that's poetic, and it's so accurate. So what are 3 things that you wish, Lisa, more parents knew?
Oh, goodness, what more parents knew. I would have to say the first thing is that wherever you are on your journey, it's okay. Wherever you are, try not to fight it. In that dance, if you have days where you're feeling so much more vulnerable, where you're feeling, gosh, I just can't get through this, all you really need to do is just simply breathe. Just simply breathe and let things happen for you, because our children will carry us through. Just know it's okay. The second thing I would have to say is go to all the resources this phenomenal group has to offer. There are countless YouTube videos you can watch. There are countless providers. There's a book list. There's a movie list. There are energy healers. There are sound session. There's so much. There's healing for grief yoga. There's so many resources here. There will always be something here for you. And the third thing is stay with us. Just stay with us, because all of us were where you were at one time. And we're just reaching a hand back. Helping Parents Heal is a 100% volunteer organization. Parents helping parents. There's no marketing allowed in this group. No one's getting anything from this group. We're all just trying to reach back and say, hey, just as beautiful Carol said, we can be joyful. Our kids are okay. And we're all here just to help each other.
Beautiful. And so finally, what is your knowing, what is your belief about there being a timing, a meaning behind when a child passes?
Well, I'm very fortunate in that my own son told me 3 things that I was able to go back to and relate to. When he was 2 years old, this would be Anthony, because of course Michael didn't speak. When he was 2 years old, he said, you know, Mama, I waited forever to come and be your baby. And there was just something in the way he said that. I just felt a truth to it. When he was 4 years old, I picked him up from daycare and looked in the back seat, and he had big old crocodile tears. And I said, honey, what's the matter? And he said, Mama, when I'm 18, I'm going to leave you, and I'm so sad. And I said, well, baby, when you're 18, you're a big boy and you go to college, it'll be okay. And when he crossed when he was 18, I thought, no 4-year-old would think that. Where did he get that? And six months before he crossed, he was getting ready to go to college, and he said, Mom, I need to talk to you. I'm afraid I'm going to die. I keep feeling like I'm going to die. I need you to watch out for me, Mom. So he told me himself his soul had a knowing. So I can't argue against that our souls know. And many of us within Helping Parents Heal, so many of us, including those of you watching, will know in some sort of way, we all had that knowing, we all had that feeling, and that's our soul awareness.
My gosh, I have the toughest job in the world trying to limit to 9 minutes each one of you so far. You know, I want to hear for an hour what you have to say, but thank you very much. Wonderful.
My honor.
Whew, oh, okay, so our next volunteer, please.
Hi, Mark. I can go next.
Okay, Sophia, thank you. So you know the questions. Tell us about your child, please.
So, my name is Sophia Meum, and I'm with the Arizona Healing Hearts affiliate group, which is in Arizona. Our youngest child, Xander, transitioned over at the age of 14 by suicide. And he was our funny little guy, our practical joke, and just full of energy. He loved to dance and he was just a happy go lucky little fella. So he left us or transitioned over in November of 2019.
And how did you run into helping parents heal? How did you learn about it?
Well, that's kind of a funny little story. And sorry for those that have already heard it. We actually, after Xander transitioned over, we ended up moving, and I was not too happy about the move. Although I can say that Xander actually brought us to this location. And one day I was in my office doing some work, and I heard him say shining light. And he repeated it. And in spirit, I heard him say that. And I thought, what in the world? And he told me to actually get on the computer after I got done arguing with him, to get on the computer and look up shining light parents. And it led me to Suzanne Giesman's definition, which from there I saw helping parents heal in the definition or attached to that. And I thought, what in the world? He said, go to that go to that group and look it up. So I did. I looked it up, and he continued to guide me and told me to go to the locations. And Carol was the first person I saw, and her little beautiful face popped up. And he immediately told me I had to email her. And I got to be honest, I argued about the whole thing. I hadn't been involved with any type of grief group for a reason, because of all the sadness and heaviness. I just didn't want a part of it. So a few days later, I ended up emailing her, and she invited me to coffee. And from there, my journey began with helping parents heal.
Wow, powerful. I hadn't heard it. Thank you. And so what have you found, and what can you share with other parents about sensing your son's living presence?
Well, I've always been pretty sensitive to spirit. Xander has been extremely active 10 days after he transitioned over. So for me, I can always sense his energetic being, if you will, and I'm very visual, so I do get a lot of pictures. He's very active around the area, from turning the radios on to, he loves mariachi music. Don't ask me why, but that was his thing. And he turns lights off. And there's been times I've even found handprints on some of our comforters because they're soft and either could leave a print on there. And our dogs are very super active with him. So he's just kind of all over the place, to be honest.
Okay, well, that makes it easy. And what motivated you to become an affiliate leader?
Well, this journey is very difficult and it's very hard. And I think, one thing I found that was unique about helping parents heal is the support and the uniqueness of believing that our children are still active on the other side. And that brought me hope. So the idea of being able to give back to other parents brought me hope as well, going through my journey. And I think it's very important for us to stay connected and help each other in any way we can to help ourselves heal.
Yeah, exactly. And having gone through this, what are 3 things that you wish more parents knew that you've learned?
Gosh, one of the biggest things I think is to be okay with your emotions and process your grief. Stuffing it inside or allowing that just to be stuck in your body will not help you in the long run. So I think we have to be okay with how we're feeling, whether it's, happy 1 minute, the next minute we're having a breakdown, but just to feel it and process it, give yourself a few minutes. 10 minutes is what I did for myself. And I was like, okay, that's enough. Time to keep moving. So that was a really big thing. And I think being open to new ideas, new beliefs, new ways of healing. I know when a child transitions over, our worlds are really turned upside down, and what we believed as truth at that time may no longer be our foundation. So knowing that you're being guided from the other side. Just be open to new ideas and truth. So that was a really big thing for me. And I think Lisa mentioned this as well, but just really staying active with Helping Parents Heal was a really big thing, because being around people that actually understand what you're going through is amazing and it's priceless. Sometimes we have to release extended family or friends on this new part of our, I don't know, season in our life, and it's all okay. So stay connected and be around people that can support you in the way that you need it.
Excellent. And finally, what are your views about the concept that everyone passes on in the right way in the right time, even though from a limited earthly perspective, it may not seem like it?
Yes, I know there's so much that we don't understand, and I'm discovering new things every day myself. For us, when Xander transitioned over, I can tell you that it really broke our family open as far as welcoming in those new ideas and searching for, new spiritual truths, if you will. And I think that's probably the biggest, ripple effect that has caused our family to start looking for other answers. So, and that journey still continues.
Anything else you would like to share?
No, I am super grateful for myself for being a part of this group. I have met some amazing people, and I just really want to encourage everyone to use their resources and reach out if you need help, and be patient with yourself as we go through all of this. So thank you so much, Lynn, and yourself, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing this solid gold. Who is up next, please?
Okay. Thanks, Craig.
Hey, Gayen, welcome.
So I'll go next.
Tell us about your child, please.
I will, and I did not throw away my notes either. I didn't want to forget anything, so it's all written down. I'm Gayen Call. I'm in Carmel, California, affiliate leader by Zoom only. And my husband, Brian, and I have two sons, Andrew, and my older son, Weston, who on August 12th, 2018, passed quite suddenly without any warning from complications of an unexpected seizure. He was otherwise a very healthy, strong, happy, gregarious, 32-year-old entrepreneur running his own transportation company in Big Sur, California.
And of course, that's so shocking and so on. How did you, thank God, discover Helping Parents Heal?
Well, once upon a time, I attended a local support group. I was looking for answers, and that led me to asking a friend in the group around the time of Weston's first angel date in August of 2019. I asked her very sheepishly if she knew anything about mediums, and all she said was Suzanne Giesemann. So twice. For waitlist, I went to that website and I found her waitlist was years long, but I read somewhere on her website about an organization called Helping Parents Heal. I went there to look, and I identified a medium for my first ever reading. And the evidence that Weston is okay and thriving absolutely changed my life so much. That night, I had my first ever dream visit. And after that experience, I went on a very deliberate and intense spiritual quest to learn more. The next service I used, by the way, was the Caring Listener program. And I called to find out how to navigate the website in order to find my way to the upcoming conference that was scheduled for 2020, for the spring of 2020. But as we all know, that conference was postponed due to the pandemic. And instead, I spent every single day for the next year in a Helping Parents Heal Zoom meeting, fascinated by all the presentations, the education, all the support that I was receiving about spirituality in the afterlife.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned a dream visit by your son. How else have you learned to facilitate to increase your sense of him?
Well, we're a very close-knit family. In the very beginning, I was overcome with shock and disbelief more than anything else. I had a massively broken heart, and it really settled on me for several weeks. That terrifying grief that we know so well, for me, it was terrifying. It arrived at exactly the 7-week mark after a huge memorial service and a surfer's paddle out ceremony. Weston and his brother grew up surfing, passionate about surfing. Within a couple of months of all of that, I was beginning to feel his presence, and I had absolutely no reference to this phenomena. I didn't know what it was. And yet I was desperate to know, where did he go? And I was really seeking hope and survival skills. I didn't know I had a left and a right brain throughout all this, sorting it out. The religious view that I was raised with no longer served me. I started reading about the afterlife, near-death experiences, metaphysics, grief, mindfulness, and other cultural norms and philosophies about life and death. Over time, I learned how to recognize the signs, the synchronicities. Clairsentience became my thing, still is, that he is near. And over the last year with Weston, I've experienced automatic writing.
Nice. Wow, that's quite a tool chest. And I'm curious, how did you move from terrifying grief, and what a great way to put it, to being an affiliate leader?
I was involved for that. I mean, during the pandemic, lockdown for me was hopping on that computer every day, and I was developing a new spiritual perspective, a new belief system, and I was becoming emotionally stronger, and I wanted to give back. Simply wanted to give back of all that I would been given. So in November of 2020, I began my first Zoom affiliate meeting. And at that time, I expected it to evolve into in-person, but it never did. I became so comfortable in a Zoom environment as a result of 1 year of it. I decided to keep the format, and I invite the world to join me. And we meet once a month, and it's open to all HPH members.
Beautiful. That works. And what are 3 things, Gayen, that you've learned that you wish more parents knew?
Number 1 is being okay with being vulnerable, being open to learning, which we've talked about. For me, I believe this is the key towards finding peace. Number 2, healing alongside other parents who truly do understand is incredibly special. I have a whole new family of friends. Some are in this meeting. Third, trusting in the idea that there is more, that love never dies. There's a much bigger plan in the works because our child left before us, passed before us.
Mm-hmm.
This can all be unpacked with patience and conscious intention and a reality to expect miracles.
Love it. Love it. And what are your beliefs or knowing about people pass on in the right way in the right time?
I am developing an entirely new belief system, as I mentioned. And as a direct result of his passing, this is evolving for me. In order to evolve as a human, as a parent, I found that accepting new spiritual concepts began to mitigate the pain of missing his physical departure and opened up a pathway of peace that I didn't know was even possible. I have learned that his early exit was designed to help us become who we really are meant to be in this life, soul to soul. My willingness to find space in the moment, quiet my mind intentionally, and just be is very, very new behavior. And this is where I find him.
Gosh. So well put. Thank you very much for sharing all that. God bless. And Craig, you're up next. Good luck, buddy, after those 5.
Oh, thank you. I'm just happy that ladies are always first, so I got to go last.
Well,
Anyway,
welcome.
I was going to say that my son, I actually adopted my son. Me and my ex-partner adopted my son. He was from Ukraine. He was adopted at age 6 months. He was only weighed 14 pounds when we adopted him. He was born 2 months premature, so he was basically having a newborn baby, which is really rare to obtain a newborn baby that's this small, you know, when you adopt internationally, especially to men. You know, that was just unheard of. But Ukraine was one of the countries that would adopt to a man. Can't be 2 men, but they did adopt to one man, and we had to like pretend well, that doesn't matter. Anyway, basically, my son's birth given name was Dmitry Zinchenko Ostovich, which I mention those names because after he passed, he started guiding me to start doing more research into trying to really know who he is. And of course, you know, our names, our birthdays, all these things have meanings. So ironically, you know, his name truly brought some spiritual enlightenment to me, and I learned more about, you know, just kind of got some answers to that intuitive thoughts that I was having. Ultimately, when we adopted our son, we changed his name to Alexander Ryan. And he was 6 months old, like I said, and at age 2, we were told that he was severely autistic. He was actually the doctor, her exact words were, "He is a classic case of autism." Which is ironic because the only thing he did that made her think he had autism was climbing up into her lap without having any fear. And in my mind, I thought that was a loving child, but in her mind, that was like, no, that's not normal. Well, ironically, as time goes on, my son, you know, he was very much a loving child. He was always wanting to run up to people in the grocery store lines and checkout lines, and he just wasn't afraid of anyone. He didn't have that like barrier between that we put between ourselves. So, he also, of course, he had other issues besides being super friendly. He was nonverbal. He, you know, he had to pretty much have help with pretty much all of his physical bodily needs. I mean, I literally just him washing his hands. I would be behind him, holding his hands and washing his hands, like, you know, and everything he did as far as taking care of his body required my assistance, me and my partner, and of course, people that helped us. But you know, at age 15, my son, he basically had his first seizure. That honestly, I thought that was the time my son was going to pass, because at that moment in time, I never experienced a seizure. I never experienced anything. I didn't know a lot about seizures. All I knew at that moment was I got a call from his other parent, and he was his very first day of high school, and they call me and say that your son has had a seizure. He hasn't woke up, and he's on the way to the emergency room. I didn't know what to think. In my mind, it was just like, this was it. And I had just spent the whole long weekend with my son, because at this moment in time, me and my ex-partner had separated. But anyway, thank God, you know, on the way to the emergency room, I did get the call that he came to. But from that point on, I felt like I was on borrowed time. And at age 16, he did have another seizure. And at that time, he wasn't with me. He was actually, I had just exchanged him with my ex-partner at the moment, the 24 hours prior to this happening, and he had a seizure in the pool, and that at that time he never came to. Of course, I literally get the call. I'm actually, you know, we had just exchanged our child. You know, literally exactly 24 hours prior to this exact moment, and that's when I got the call, and it was just like.
So tell me, Craig, how did you discover helping parents heal after that?
After my son passed, he started, I could really sense him communicating with me. I just felt I was also reaching out for him. I just longed to connect to him. And I started getting some amazing signs. I mean, at first I didn't want to accept them as my signs. I just thought it were just coincidences. But then a time he broke past my thick skull, I guess. And I went online just trying to see if there's anyone else that was having these paranormal kind of experiences. And ironically, Elizabeth did a news broadcast. She was on a news broadcast in a local news station. And she was telling her story about her son, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one that's getting messages from their child. You know, it was kind of like a really awesome. I was listening to this so closely, but as they ended the segment, they mentioned she was over a group called Helping Parents Heal. So that's how I ended up being led to that group, and
And what have you learned? What helps you be more aware of your son's presence?
Well, my son, after he transitioned, I felt like he was trying to say, I'm having a hard time finding you. It was like, yeah, I thought he was like searching for me, like almost like, I know this is just what I was receiving, but it was almost like, I'm trying to find you and it's not very easy. And he was saying, you need to raise your vibration, you need to become a brighter light. And he started leading me to the teachings of chakras and how we have these energy centers that goes through our body. And you know, sometimes I kind of started becoming very in tune to the teachings of chakras and the teachings of that spirals around all of that. And that kind of led me to doing Kundalini yoga, you know, and Kundalini yoga was another avenue that my son guided me towards. And I've been like I've been a devout Kundalini yoga person ever since the past. That's been like slightly over 6 years now, and it really helps me to raise my vibration, and I can opens my eyes to a lot of things.
Sure. So what have you found that you can share that you wish more people knew that has been so helpful for you?
I think the first thing to really just allow yourself to accept your imagination. You know, I think we have a tendency to deny things because we've been trained to see things a certain way. So when you start reaching out and seeing and understanding things through different eyes, you have that old self that wants to constantly bring you back over here and be like, no, don't, that's crazy. You don't want to go down that road. But when you finally have enough things happen to you, you finally will break free from that logical, well, it's more often you can break free from it. You know, I'm just going to say it's not a foolproof thing. I think we constantly battle with this logical mind that we have here.
Mm-hmm. And what else do you wish more parents knew that's helped you?
The other things I would say is to just raise your vibration. I mean, like most of us all know here, that's been like a pretty much an advocate, a thing that we all have grasped from our child. And raising your vibration, you know, can be done many ways, of course, you know, and it's about, you know, just moving, dancing, you know, it's like when you're staying in this when you're sitting still, the energy is not as much. You know, meditation is obviously raises your vibration, but when you get out and just, you know, just do things and just accept your child's presence, and that helps you to raise your vibration.
And for parents who may not understand this fully, Craig, how can you state that raising your vibration helps you be more aware of him?
Well, honestly, as far as trying to put some logic into how that works, I don't really know. I do know that, you know, it's like something about expanding your energy field, maybe, and this is my own way of understanding, I guess, but when you expand your energy field through the process of raising your vibration, that ultimately allows you to see things from a higher perspective. You know, ultimately our child, you know, they no longer are kind of encased in this physical body. So now they're like out there in the universal field of energy, and they can truly feel us more than ever because they're not enclosed. And the more we enclose ourselves, the more we put ourselves in this box, the lower our vibrations become. So
beautiful way to put it. And finally, what would you like to share about your beliefs or knowing about when a child passes? Can there really be a rhyme and a reason behind it?
I do believe that, our children come here for a purpose. I think we all come here for a purpose. I don't think it's just like a fluke in the night that we just magically appear. I think that there's a purpose behind all this existence. And I do feel like our child, ourselves, we are all here to grow into a higher state of grace and love. And I just feel like that our child has this experience with us because they're trying to help us evolve into that higher being, I guess.
So powerful. Thank you very much.
You.
Oh my goodness, Lynn, what would you like to say? Well, I just recover for a moment. So powerful.
You guys are all so inspirational, and Mark probably hasn't read it, but I did kind of do a little synopsis on each of you. So thank you for everything you said, and thank you for all your help and time and love to helping parents heal. And thank you, Mark, for being in charge of this.
I'm not in charge. I'm just honored to be part of the group. These, as you know, you all are my heroes. Really, I have, my knowing is that only the most evolved and loving souls are willing to possibly go into this scenario. So I stand in awe, and you all are my heroes, and it inspires me to do what I do. So for those attending and for those who are watching this video later, I recommend you watch this at least twice, because every one of these parents have shared so much nuggets. And not only listen to the words, but look at them, their eyes, their energy. There's so much to be learned here. So take full advantage of it. Now, how am I supposed to sleep? I couldn't sleep last night. How am I supposed to sleep tonight? There's so much energy. I slept like 4 hours, and I was just like, bing. So anyway, hopefully everybody will get at least some sleep. God bless you all. Thank you for being such bright lights and letting it shine.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mark.
Mark. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yep. So Mark, if you get a chance, just glance at the chat room and you can see kind of what I'm doing.
Okay, I'll take a look.
before
But
you
I'm pretty much,
turn the recording off, though.
yeah, let me stop recording here.